Oh, what's new in the world of YouTube today? Why I returned my 16-inch MacBook Pro. Oh, crap. Maybe I made a huge mistake. 12 minutes. Jeez. Alright, what the hell? Yep. I get it. Performance is good, yep. Same thing you've done on your other 50 videos. Oh, for the love of God, get to the point. For crying out loud, get to the point. Seriously? 15 minutes to say you like the smaller one better. You mother... Hey, what's up everybody? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for watching. So I used to do a show called One Take Wednesday where I would take the most interesting comments and do a quick demo of it to answer it, but now that I'm getting a lot more comments, I figured I would just start up some regular viewer comment ones. So this one's going to be part 4 of the MacBook Pro series, and I'm just going to answer all the questions that I've had on the M1 Max. So the first one comes from Paul and another one from Daniel about memory. So Paul was thinking of just getting the Max with the 32 gig of RAM, and I think that will be more than enough. Some of the quick tests I'm doing with a new track I'm working on, the CPU and the disk usage spike a lot more than RAM does, so I would have Activity Monitor running, and this isn't a scientific test by any stretch of the imagination, but just having Activity Monitor up and just watching the pretty little lines and charts go around. Memory barely uses any memory compared to, say, Chrome. Chrome uses like easily 6 to 10 times the amount of memory just eyeballing it. I think the active memory being used by Logic was about 2 gig worth, but it's much more CPU and disk intensive anyway, so I wouldn't worry so much about that. I did go for the 64 gig of RAM because I do a lot of video processing, and I'm doing these live, by the way, so yeah, that was my phone. And I do a lot of video processing and graphics and stuff, and I'm going to keep this machine until the Earth blows up, which, hey, the way humanity's going could be in a couple of weeks. But anyway, I just wanted to rule out wondering if more RAM would have solved some of the problems, so it didn't really matter to me. Anyway, I traded in my old MacBook and got $1,000 for it, so that paid for the extra amount that I already had budgeted for getting a new one. So I wouldn't worry about the 64 gig of RAM unless you're a super power user and you're doing like Apple Motion or, you know, Adobe Premiere or 3D graphics and rendering and all that kind of stuff. Then I think the more memory would probably help out. Okay, so Jose, your question, wondering why Mac OS and Core Audio can't get lower than 32 samples. So that's referring to the I/O buffer size, and in Logic the way that works, the lower the buffer size, the less latency. So I don't think below 32 would make much of a difference. When I've got mine set to 32, the latency is about 6 milliseconds, which you'll never notice when you have monitoring turned on. So I honestly don't know why they chose 32 as the limit. If you do, drop those in the comments below. But basically, the higher you set that I/O buffer rate, the more it's going to use memory and swap files, and the more that is going to introduce latency into it. So I've kept all of my projects pretty much on 32, and this morning actually, I was doing some vocal overdubs on this new song, and the project has, just eyeballing it here, probably 60 tracks in total. There's maybe 2 to 4 plugins on each track, and I finally got some cracks and pops while I was recording, and I was just punching in and recording like a quick ooh part, and that was it. So I did notice some pops and crackles, and I upped that to 64, gone, still no latency. So I don't really know why they chose 32. I'm not sure it matters. All right, cruising along. So Brian, yes, you seem to have the same workflow as me, being able to keep everything live and not go through that. I'm going to write the song, I'm going to record everything, I'm going to fix everything, get it perfect, then I'm going to do my mixing, then I'm going to do my mastering. For me, it's much more of a fluid kind of process. So it is nice to have a machine where I don't have to worry about CPU load, because from using it over the last couple of weeks, that's the biggest area where it spikes, when I've got Activity Monitor running. So let's keep on going to the next ones. All right. I did have a bunch of questions like this for, so this from Carl Haynes, and Globeaton mentioned the same one too. just the fact that that part 3 video was around a real world scenario of just recording and getting no latency on an existing track without having to do anything like bounce things down or freeze the tracks or anything like that. So I appreciate those comments, because that was the whole point of this channel, was to keep things as real world as possible and just cut through all the nonsense. There's tons of great videos out there about the Mac, and there's people that have done things like, can you run 2800 tracks in Logic? And I'm like, nobody gives a shit. But it's entertaining, it's fun to talk about, but not really too terribly useful, I think, for the most of us out there. Hence the video intro. But anyway, yes, that's why I started the channel. Hopefully it's valuable, and that's why I just want to keep this channel as doing kind of more real world things. All right, so the next question, again from Globeat, and this was around getting a fully spec'd M1 Max except for the storage, and on the fence about going with an audio interface with or without DSP. Performance-wise, I don't think it matters with the M1 Max. I think it would matter more if you want the plugin suite that they come with. So the Antelope Audio, the Apollo stuff, and Apogee, and maybe Audent too, I'm not sure. They come with free plugin suites that are DSP capable, which means they will be processed on the audio interface hardware, which frees up your computer to do stuff. I don't think it matters, but if you look at my style of music, it's mostly like pop, rock, country-ish type of thing. I may have as many as 70 tracks, because I do like to do lots of background vocals and stuff like that. But my processing and plugin use is very, very simple. There's typically the same 10 to 15 plugins I use on every single track, or at least, you know, for guitars, I tend to use the same ones over and over again. So I really don't need any external processing. This new M1 Max can handle it. So I even wouldn't worry about preamp quality, because yeah, you're gonna get a ton of videos and stuff saying, hey, is this $20 preamp as good as this $5,000 one? Obviously the answer is no, but I would argue you could buy the cheapest audio interface possible and you'd be able to get professional results out of it, because that's one of multiple factors for how your song is going to sound. Number one, obviously, is the performance. If the performance sucks, the preamp ain't going to help. And I can only speak from experience recording a few of our EPs, because our singer was fantastic, amazing voice. I would do a lot of the background vocals, and I listened to them and I'm like, man, my voice is garbage. I really hate it. So, and hers sounds great, and she could sing into her phone and send me a file and it would sound better than mine. So performance far and away matters more, and your knowledge and skill around mixing will matter more, I think, than the hardware. But yes, obviously hardware does matter to a certain degree. I wouldn't worry about it too much, and given how fast this thing processes stuff, I'm not sure I would spend the extra money on a DSP capable audio interface unless it had other features that you want, like multiple headphone outs, different sets of inputs and outputs depending on what kind of gear you're hooking up to it. I would factor those things in more so than just the processing. All right, so this one from Camus Entertainment. Have you tested Pro Tools? I haven't, because I don't own it and I don't want to spend any money doing that test. I did get a free version of Pro Tools with my Focusrite interface. I used it a couple times, but I don't like their ecosystem. I don't like the way their workspaces work. I don't like the fact that you have to be connected to the internet. That's what I remember having to do, because it's having to check your license and validate your workspace and stuff like that. Maybe they've changed that recently. But I don't like the Pro Tools ecosystem. Give me the software, let me own it, and leave me alone, is kind of what I want to do. So I would pick definitely Reaper and Logic and some of the other ones that don't force you into their subscription model. So I won't test it, but I don't think it would be all that different from using any of the other big DAWs out there anyway. I think specifically with this MacBook, it's going to be fast enough no matter what your use case is. All right, so the last couple of comments from some of the previous videos. One was around the fan noise. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I upgraded for sure, and I finally got the fan on this thing to come on. I just finished a day of work. I was exporting a video in Final Cut. I had Pixelmator open, my email client, Chrome, probably the Apple preview thing for looking at PDFs, and I started working on music, and while the video was exporting and I was just tinkering around with some stuff, which obviously is stupid, I mean, shut all that stuff down, and the fan finally came on. If I can find the video, because I did grab my phone quickly and recorded it, I'll put it right here. But if you didn't hear that, then it was like, and that was it. Could barely notice it. I had to stick my ear right down to the MacBook to be able to hear it. So that is totally awesome. And then the other ones around how many tracks you can have in Logic with CPU intensive instruments and plugins. I haven't done a scientific test on it, but the tracks that I have now, I'm using Softtube and Waves and Baby Audio. So I got the Smooth Operator on a Black Friday sale, and that is witchcraft. That plugin is, oh my god, for 38 bucks, holy crap. Don't know what it does, don't care what it does, sounds awesome. By the way, there is a plugin called Plugin Doctor that you can use, so if you really want to compare different plugins and stuff like that, you can use Plugin Doctor and it will show you exactly what it's doing to the audio signal. But Smooth Operator, holy crap, that's magic. Just go out and buy it. I'm not affiliated with them, and links in the description are not an affiliate program, but grab it, it's awesome. So I haven't seen how CPU intensive those plugins are, but I might do that for an upcoming test. I would say, just given the fact that I've got like 70 of them running here on this one, I don't think it would really matter if they are too terribly CPU intensive, because this thing still hasn't made a hiccup. So if they are, I can see the CPU meter spiking in Logic sometimes if you enable that option in the display, but performance-wise, audio-wise, pops and clicks and things, never hear any of them. So if you have an idea about what is generally considered to be a super-duper CPU-intensive plugin, drop it in the comments below, and if there's a free demo, sure, I'd be happy to test that out. Alright, so that's it for this episode of Viewers' Comments. This was part 4 of the M1 Max series for the new MacBook Pro. I'm going to do probably one more video and then get back to my normal programming. So just a couple of other tests with Activity Monitor and stuff running. But I would say after 3 weeks of owning this, if you need portability, if you need something that's super duper fast and you don't have to worry about doing any workarounds in your DAW for large-ish projects and stuff like that, the M1 Max is super fast. I have absolutely no regret about spending the extra money to get the Max and getting the 64 gig of RAM. And that is it for this one. So remember to hit like and subscribe. Hope this was valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.